Welcome to Volume 1 of our Hansi Flicks FC Barcelona tutorial. Get ready because by the end of this, you're going to feel like you're in Hansi Flick's shoes, making those game-changing calls in real time. I'm going to walk you through building Barca's formations from the ground up, setting up the perfect starting lineup. I'm going to give you a cheat sheet to react just like a true manager, gives each player's multiple position, role, and focus, including the subs and reserves from La Masia, whether it's adjusting tactics before the match, responding in the first 45 minutes if things aren't going your way, or preparing a bold second half strategy. I'm going to give you the tools to help you take control and make the gameplay more realistic, mirroring Hansi Flick's style. Now, before we start crafting the ultimate Barca experience, in our previous tactic videos, we pulled over 28,000 views with 645 likes, which is amazing considering it was a year ago with a smaller audience. So here's the deal. If we hit 50 likes on this video, I'll drop Volume 2 right away, even if it happens today. So let's get the momentum going with 50 likes. Make sure you subscribe, turn on the notifications so you don't miss out on Volume 2, 3, and 4 that are already done. It's up to you when they come out. All right, let's get into Hansi Flick's style at Barcelona so you can see what is it that we're trying to replicate. Flick's approach is all about blending Barca's traditional possession game with a very aggressive, rock-solid, high line of defense combined with a much quicker, more unpredictable transitions, sprinkled in with more direct passes and counterattacks. He's brought a more structured press attacking setup. What sets Flick apart is his emphasis on real-time flexibility while baiting your opponent into thinking they're in control because of that high line, consistently generating offsides, giving your opponent the illusion they're in control, while you're really just frustrating them and draining them mentally, so then Barca takes advantage of this to hit them at the right time. The team switches strategies based on what's happening at the moment, with players often shifting roles if the first half isn't working, which is why Barcelona have been so successful this season. So let's jump into setting up the foundation so you can manage Barca like a pro in the game. First thing you want to do is go to team management. Now for this part of the tutorial, the players you choose as starters will not matter. The base of this formation will be the blueprint for what Flick wants to, in general, achieve from each position. We will get into the differences in individual roles and focus at the individual level later on in this video, so make sure you stay to the end. With that said, if everyone were healthy, this is the most likely starting lineup we would see. These would be the subs, and those are the reserves. If you want players like Tony and Guille Fernandez and Quim Jr. on your squad, make sure you check the playlist in the video description for that. The playlist includes updates for player stats to better replicate the current FC Barcelona season at a more realistic level. Now, as we take a look at the Barca default formation provided by FC25, you could already tell for our two midfielders behind Dani Olmo are set up incorrectly. So much Pedri has a -5. When we look at the tactics, we see it's because the default formation is using two CDMs, and this is incorrect. Hansi Flick's double pivot at FC Barcelona aims to boost defensive stability and smoothen transitions. The setup pairs a holding deep line playmaker, which is a defensive pivot, who stays back to protect the defense, alongside a box-to-box deep line playmaker known as a progressive pivot, who links defense and attack. This combination keeps Barcelona's possession-based style intact while providing added security against counterattacks. What we also see incorrect by the default formation here is that Balde is supposed to be an attacking winger and the two center backs are supposed to be build-up players. Also, the wingers, they should not be set up as left midfielder or right midfielder. Now, in theory, this would be correct because Hansi Flick does like his wingers to track back. But when I tested this, the players would make the incorrect player runs in a game that has already limited player runs. Plus, in Volume 4, I'll show you guys how to improve player runs. So we need to fix this formation first. Not to mention, most of the player roles and focuses are incorrect. So let's fix this first. Let's click on Edit Tactics. For the tactical preset, we're going to change this to pressing. Don't worry so much about this label because we're going to change this. It's going to cause it to change the custom. And in Volume 2, you will see that we will allocate Tiki-Taka coaches with the pressing coaches, wing play coaches, and counterattack coaches to find the correct balance in gameplay. For the formation, we're going to want to change this to a 4-3-3 attack. Now, I don't use any of these two 4-3-2-1s. One of them gives you 2 CDMs, the one we just looked at, and the other one gives us 3 cams, and that's not what we're going for. As you can see, the 4-3-2-1 doesn't even look right. That is not what Hansi Flick is trying to achieve. Anyways, I've tried them all, guys. The best one is 4-3-3 attack. Once you have this set up as 4-3-3 attack, we're going to go to build up style. Now, we're going to change this from counter. We're not going to select short passing. We're going to go for balance because we want both short passing and counter. So we want a mix of it. So we're going to set this as balanced. Now for the defensive approach, we're going to keep this on aggressive and we're going to keep the line at 95. And then we're going to save the changes. See how it changed the tactical preset to custom? That's why you didn't have to worry. Now, most likely after this point, you can see players are out of position. So let's reorganize the team to make sure they're in the correct place. So you want to make sure Dani Olmo is down the middle. Pedri's right here. Bernal switches with Rafinha. That looks good, and now we're set to advance. So let's go back to tactics, edit tactics, and now let's focus on the player roles. Now for Robert Lewandowski, what you want to do is you want to change him to an advanced forward. That's even going to give him a +1. Then we're going to change his focus from attack to complete. One of the reasons we're going to do this is because sometimes Rafinha and Lamine Yamal are going to be running inside the area alongside Dani Olmo or Pedri. And one of Flick's strategies is to give players a whole bunch of freedom so they're not playing rigid in a formation, which makes them very unpredictable. Now for Rafinha, what you want to do, he's correctly set up as an inside forward, but you want to switch this to roaming because you want to also make him very unpredictable and he kind of runs all around the area. Now for Lamine Yamal, you also want to have him as an inside forward and you want to keep his focus on balance because he actually does help out on defense on counterattacks with such a high line. Now for Dani Olmo, we're going to switch him from a half winger. He's going to switch over to a shadow striker. That's even going to give him a +. And he's going to focus on attack. Now Pedri, he's going to play the role of the box-to-box, focused on balance. That stays as is. And Marc Bernal, he's going to be playing the role of a deep line playmaker. And his focus is going to be to defend. The reason we're not going to switch him to a holding role is because Hansi Flick actually doesn't use the holding pivot role like Pep Guardiola did with Busquets. In fact, Bernal, it's too bad he got injured. He is actually a pretty good catalyst for attacks, as you read there in the description, so it's the perfect role for him. And same goes for the other players we'll see later that's good for this role. Now for Balde, we're going to change him from a wingback balanced to an attacking wingback, and he's actually going to be focused on attack. Now for Inigo Martinez, we're going to keep the ball-playing defender, but we're going to change his focus to build-up. And for Paul Kubarsi, same thing. We're going to switch this to ball-playing defender, and he's going to focus on build-up. But I think more realistically, he has developed to be a build-up player that's a bit more aggressive, like a stopper, set to balance, because he both intercepts passes and he puts pressure on attacking players. What I would do is switch to a build-up or stopper, depending on the circumstances of the game. Okay, now for Koundé, we're going to keep him as a wingback because you want him to overlap. You can literally see the line. Like if we were going to switch him to a false back, that would make him cut inside. He doesn't really do that. And if we focus on attacking wingback, he doesn't play the same role that Balde does. And if we set him up as a fullback, that's also not what he does in real life. So go with wingback and have his focus on balance because he's going to be pushing forward and coming back on defense. Now, the final change here for Ter Stegen, we're going to switch him from goalkeeper to sweeper keeper as the focus stays on balance. Now, this is a juicy section. I'm going to provide each Barca player's primary and secondary positions as well as their roles and focuses. This information will help you position substitutes, reserves, or La Masia players when you call them up. This way, you can effectively put them on the pitch. You'll also have a clear idea on how to set up your starting 11 and make real-time strategic adjustments during a match. But before we deal with the real-time changes during a match, let me give you an example of how to use this cheat sheet so you can organize any player at their primary or secondary positions so you can reflect how Hansi Flick would use them in real life. For example, let me show you Ronald Araujo. You can play him as a right back or a center back, but his player roles change in both occasions. Let's take a look at it. So let's start with this center back role. If we play him as a center back role and we go into edit tactics, into player roles. For Araujo, what you want to do is you want to change him to a defender who focuses on defending. He's not really good with the ball, so that's why you wouldn't set him up as a stopper, because you don't want Araujo pushing up the pitch. It's well known that his weakness is not playing the ball, so that's why you want to set him up as a defender, focus on defend. But if we take Araujo and we play him as a right back, let's take a look at the details on that. So we're going to go to tactics, we're going to go to edit tactics and player roles. So when he plays the right back position, we're going to switch him to a full back and he's going to focus on defending. And those are the two different ways that you can set up Ronald Araujo. Here's another way to use this cheat sheet. If the first half isn't going well, step into Hansi Flick's shoes. Is it a lack of attack? The midfield chemistry isn't working? Or is your current defense not working against your opponent? With this cheat sheet, you can adjust player roles or make subs based on strategy. For example, if Lewandowski's primary position is a striker, advanced forward, and his focus is on complete, you may want to switch him to his secondary role or his third role, depending on your opponent's defense. You have to remember, Flick's approach is flexible and encourages unpredictability. So while I've provided a basic tactic outline, making real-time adjustments keeps it as close as possible to the real thing. And that part is on you. You can also use this cheat sheet to reassess after the first half. Are you down a goal or up and needing more defense under pressure? Adjust the player roles, focus, or make substitutes, just like a manager would based on the situation heading into the second half. This cheat sheet literally gives you that cheat code to figure it out. So to get started, here are the starters on attack. Here you can see their first, second, and third roles. Here are the starting midfielders. Notice I use LCM or RCM. I know we can't change the position, but this is letting you know, put them on the left or on the right side of the center midfield positions. Here are the starters, Alejandro Balde and Jules Koundé for the left back, right back positions. Here's your starting center backs and goalkeeper. Now for the following players, these are players that can actually be a starter. For example, Frankie, Ronald Araujo, or Christensen can easily be a starter. And here are the last rotation starters for the goalkeepers. Now we're going to take a look at the main substitutes. Here we got Ferran, Ansu Fati, Paulo Torre. Here you got Pau Victor, Gerard Martin, Hector Fort. These are all subs. Alongside Eric Garcia, Andres Cuenca, Sergi Dominguez. Now, these players are on loan, but they're most likely substitutes. And I'm really banking on Ibrahim Diarra to be the solution when you want to rest Lamine Yamal or if he's injured. So that's why I included him as a sub. Hint, hint, I will be creating him. And now we're going to take a look at all the La Masia players. Remember, all their roles are based on the base formation. So you're not going to have to change any of their formations. That's why I chose Attack 4-3-3 because it fits every profile player, including the La Masia players. And you will notice, depending on when you watch this tutorial, some of these I've already made, some of them I haven't made, but it kind of gives you a hint on what are the players that I will be creating for La Masia. And here are the final goalkeepers for La Masia. Now, with this foundation set, in Volume 2, I'm going to get into the art of assigning trainers to each department and what style should lead it. We'll dive into the percent of combining coaches' styles per department, from gen press, wing play, Tiki-Taka, to mimic Flick's playstyle even more. Then in Volume 3, it's all about individual player development to enhance and tailor each player's growth throughout their career so they can maximize the potential of their specific roles and the team system. Finally, Volume 4 wraps up with custom FC Barcelona sliders based on the simulation sliders you already like to further enhance the experience of a Flick's Barça. There are a few tweaks that need to be done there. By the end, you'll have everything you need to dominate like the real Hansi Flick. Thank you so much for watching. If you're enjoying the love and effort I put into this series, please show your appreciation by leaving a nice comment and liking the video. Super thanks to all my members. Thank you so much for your help. You can become one to help keep the lights on. You can do so in the video description. And remember, 50 likes and 15 comments, and you will find Volume 2 at the lower left. Volume 3 will be on the lower right, and Volume 4 will be on the upper right. And just in case, Volume 5, which would be advanced settings, will be on the upper left. And I'll see you guys on Volume 2.